I used to think my smartwatch was the most boring piece of tech I owned. Steps, calories, sleep cycles, just numbers on a screen, right? But last week, buried between the usual graphs and timestamps, I found something that shouldn't exist. The watch hadn't just tracked my heartbeat. It had recorded audio. Hours of it. At first, I laughed, figured it was some new update, some bug spitting out junk files. But when I pressed play, the sound that came through wasn't static. It wasn't snoring. It wasn't even me. It was a voice. Low, close, whispering words I couldn't quite make out. And worse, every time I replayed it, the voice seemed a little clearer, like it wanted me to understand. I thought it was just sleep data. Then I heard the voice. But to understand what I found, you need to know how this started. Asterisk, I'm not anyone special. 28 years old, desk job that slowly turns my spine into a question mark, and a caffeine addiction I refuse to admit is a problem. My life isn't exciting, and honestly, that's how I like it. Wake up, shower, coffee, work, dinner, Netflix, collapse. Repeat. The smartwatch was supposed to help with that routine. I bought it during one of those half-guilty late-night Amazon binges, telling myself it would keep me accountable, track my steps, remind me to stand up, maybe guilt me into drinking more water. What really interested me, though, was the sleep tracking. I've never been a good sleeper, and the idea of seeing neat little charts about how restless I was sounded oddly comforting. That's all it was meant to be, a digital babysitter for my bad habits. Numbers, graphs, nothing more. Except, I've learned something the company doesn't put in the marketing blurbs. These watches track more than you think. Sometimes, things they shouldn't. The first few nights were normal, until they weren't. Asterisk at first. The data looked exactly how I expected. Restless sleep, a few spikes around 3 a.m., probably from rolling over or dreaming. But then the numbers started to misbehave. One night, my heart rate jumped to 140 beats per minute for nearly 10 minutes, yet I never woke up. Another chart showed me logging 200 steps, sometime around 2 a.m. Even though I swear I didn't leave the bed, I brushed it off. Tech glitches happen. Maybe the watch lost calibration. Maybe it was syncing wrong. But then came the noises. The first time, it was faint, barely a static hiss on the playback. The next night, there was something sharper, a scrape, like furniture shifting across the floor, my floor. While I was supposed to be sleeping, I laughed it off, told myself it was interference, some bug in the app, some ghost in the machine, but I kept checking. Every night, I kept opening the files, convincing myself it was nothing. If I'd stopped checking then, I wouldn't be telling you this now. Then came the night that changed everything. Asterisk. I'll never forget the first time the watch truly betrayed me. The night itself was uneventful. I remember brushing my teeth, setting my alarm, and crashing into bed with my phone in hand, doom scrolling until sleep won. Nothing out of the ordinary. The next morning, groggy and half late for work, I checked the sleep app out of habit. Same restless charts. Same half-useful advice about improving sleep quality. But at the bottom was a new notification. Audio available. I didn't even know the watch could record audio. Curious, I pressed play. At first, I heard my own shallow breathing, steady and dull, the kind of thing you'd expect from someone dead asleep. Then came the shift. A second set of breaths, slower, heavier, like someone else was in the room. Listening, I froze, headphones pressed tight. The track went on for over a minute, and then, faintly, a whisper. Too low to make out words, but unmistakably a voice. Not mine. And then, clear as day, I heard my own voice reply. A short phrase, mumbled, almost robotic. But I don't talk in my sleep. At least, I never used to. It sounded like someone else was in the room with me. And that wasn't even the worst part, asterisk. The nights after that unraveled into a pattern I couldn't control. The watch logged footsteps across my apartment, while my body stayed rigid under the duvet. Recorded whispering I hadn't made. Caught my heart graph spiking at odd intervals when every light was off. Once it captured a phrase so clear, it felt like a punch. It's watching. I played it until the audio fuzzed, hoping for a trick of sound, an app error, anything to blame. I started setting traps. I double-locked the doors, wedged a chair against the bedroom doorknob, moved a lamp by the doorway so any movement would be obvious. I even put my phone on the floor beside me, recording with a second device, desperate for corroboration. In the morning, the recording showed nothing silence. My sleeping breaths, but the smartwatch insisted otherwise. It logged steps, breathing, whispers, moments of stillness, recorded as if something paused to listen. Sleep became a ledger of violations. Every playback left me more convinced I was not alone, yet every human explanation frayed under the weight of the data. I tried to prove it was all in my head, but the watch refused to lie. Asterisk. I told Mark about the recordings over beers. He spat his drink and laughed. Dude, it's a glitch. Wearables do weird stuff. He mimed a tech support shrug and added, or you're haunted by a Bluetooth poltergeist. I forced a smile. It said my name, I said. It told me it's watching. He rolled his eyes. Sleep-talking, man. Or attention-seeking. Stop feeding the algorithm. He grew serious for half a beat. Honestly, stop listening to those recordings. You'll drive yourself crazy. That hit harder than the joke. His rational voice was the lifeline I'd been reaching for. Normal, boring, reasonable. We swapped stories about apps that miscounted steps and friend group tech freakouts. He promised to check the files with me later, half curious, half skeptical, and I almost believed him. He left, shaking his head with a smirk. I wanted to believe him, but the next recording made that impossible. Asterisk, the night after talking to Mark, I woke to another audio available notification. I almost ignored it. Almost the file began like the others breathing, the creak of bed springs. But then my name surfaced, clear and deliberate, whispered right into the microphone. The voice wasn't mine. It wasn't groggy, slurred, or accidental. It was intentional. I replayed it, hands shaking. After the whisper, there was a stretch of silence, so heavy it pressed against my ears. Then something else. A distorted crackle, like radio static, twisted into shape. Buried inside it, I swore I heard syllables forming. Broken words stitched together in a language my brain almost recognized. As I listened, my wrist buzzed. The smartwatch vibrated on its own, though I wasn't wearing it. The timing matched the static, like it was syncing in real time, pulsing with each warped syllable. It wasn't a glitch. Someone or something was responding. I should have stopped then, but I needed answers. Asterisk, I spent hours digging through forums, late-night threads where usernames looked more like confessions than identities. Buried in the digital noise, I found stories too familiar to ignore. People who swore their Fitbits logged steps while they slept, who claimed their devices recorded whispers, conversations, even warnings. Some called it the sleeper's parasite. Others described it as a demon that could only be tracked through wearables, as if the tech pulled it closer. The threads always ended the same way. Frantic updates about strange files, voices growing clearer, heart rate spikes at impossible hours. Then nothing. No replies. No closure. Just sudden silence. I told myself it was performance art. Elaborate creepypastas masquerading as reality. But the more I read, the colder I felt. Too many coincidences, too many patterns that matched mine. And still, I kept listening. Asterisk last night, I swore I wouldn't check. I swore I'd delete the files, reset the watch, and forget. But curiosity is a parasite. By dawn, I was pressing play. This recording was different. No static, no distortion, just two voices. Both low, both calm, like they'd been waiting. The first asked, "Is he ready?" The second answered, "Almost." Then silence stretched so long, I thought the file had ended. My heart thudded in my ears, till the first voice spoke again. This time, it used my name. Slowly, deliberately, the app displayed my heart rate spiking into the red, perfectly in sync with what I was hearing. Then came the footsteps. Heavy, measured, pacing across the floor. My floor. But here's the part that made my stomach drop. The time stamp. The file kept recording at 7:46 a.m. after I was awake, out of bed. Watch powered off. The watch recorded after I turned it off. I don't know if I'll survive tonight. Asterisk. I shouldn't be telling you this. Every forum warned against sharing, said the act of speaking about it makes it stronger, spreads it. But silence is worse. If you've ever used a smartwatch, if you've ever checked your sleep data, you should probably check your recordings, just to be sure. That's why I'm leaving this here, not for sympathy, but as a warning. Because right now, as I finish this, my wrist just buzzed. A new notification. Recording available. Last night, and I haven't even gone to sleep yet. Asterisk, if you've heard of this happening voices. Strange files, wearables, tracking things, they shouldn't leave a comment below. Maybe together, we can piece it together before more of us disappear. I'll be checking if I'm still here. Your theory might be the only warning someone else gets.